in the squadron. They called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Henry Kissinger, the late great Henry Kissinger, talking about the end of the Vietnam War. They were negotiating, they were working things out, they were talking, and things did wind down. Vietnam became a totally communist place, and we're just fine. Doesn't look like peace is at hand. Actually, it is. You're hearing that Iran has rejected everything, right? They rejected out of hand. They dismissed the offer. However, this is the important, right? They're signaling. They're talking. We're talking. That's a huge improvement over where we just were. We are negotiating. And President Trump knows how to negotiate, and hey, hand it to these Iranians, right? They're pretty good at negotiating. You ever try to buy a rug from one of them? Okay. They know what they're doing. And so does Trump. And when you have two smart negotiators, it's better than there's going to be a deal. There's going to be something solid. There's going to be something workable. There's going to be something fair. There's a couple of things we got to worry about. And this is all face-saving a bit. Some of this will be performative. Some of this will be face-saving. The Iranians want to save face. Let's face it, they just got their face bashed in. And they got to look like they won something, right? Unconditional surrender. President Trump said unconditional surrender. Unconditional surrender. And then everybody says there can't be unconditional surrender. That can't be unconditional. But they're talking about surrender. That's in the air. Let me see here. This was an indication that something really big. I would love to know what this thing is. You heard President Trump kind of summarizing where we are and that things are happening. It's looking very, very positive. And the Iranians just made a gesture. I don't know what it is. He's not going to tell us, but it's very intriguing. Cut 4, if you don't mind, please. Cut 4.
They did something yesterday that was amazing, actually. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. It was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we'd deal with the right people.
Is that nuclear related?
No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related. And it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people.
What does it mean? What's going on? I want to know, but it's very, very intriguing. This is negotiating at the highest level. It does not get any higher than this. 15 points. Hey, Pakistan. They're our friends in all of this. Pakistan, we're cool with Pakistan, and Pakistan is cool with Iran. Kind of. Not 100%. Let's hear a little bit more here, because if you do watch the news, it is doom and gloom, and everything sucks, and we're going to be killed, and oh, wow. No, it's actually not like that. Do me a favor, cut 5, please. Cut 5.
I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won. The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times, you read the New York Times, it's like we're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country. They can't do a thing about it. For instance, if I want to take down that power plant, that very big, powerful power plant, they can't do a thing about it. It's like, take me. That's all they can do. And yet, if you read the New York Times or if you watch ABC fake news or NBC fake news, you'd say it's a close battle. It's not a close battle. They're totally defeated.
They've been wrong on everything when it comes to President Trump, literally everything. So, of course, they're going to be wrong on this. And he has not let us down once. All right, so you got to take it with a great, big, huge grain of salt. There's so much going on that we don't know about, and we shouldn't know about. That's okay. All these reporters looking for some little tidbits, something they can put in and then exaggerate and distort and possibly compromise the peace negotiations. I don't want to do it. Not me. But I do know this. President Trump consumes the media. He consumes it a lot, right? That's what he's basing that assessment on. Media, and let's go. He just read this thing. He was talking about it a little while ago. Journal, Wall Street. Mediators from Turkey, Egypt, and Pakistan are pushing for a meeting between U.S. and Iranian officials, but Tehran has displayed defiance over the possibility of diplomacy, and both sides remain far apart. The U.S. sent Iran a 15-point plan to end the war, which centers largely on previous Trump administration's demands of Tehran. Iran's state-run Press TV broadcaster said Tehran had rejected the U.S. proposal and set out its own conditions for a deal, including reparations and recognition of Iranian sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz right now is actually divided into three countries: UAE, Oman, and Iran. That's between you and Oman. We don't want that to happen. Technically, though, I don't think it's international waters, but they're closer than it may seem. Gulf Arab states are growing alarmed, they say, by Trump's eagerness to do a deal. How about that? The Gulf states want this war to continue. The leaders of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates are lobbying Trump to stick with the war until Iran is sufficiently weakened that it won't pose a threat. Separately, authorities suspect Iran recruited individuals online for terror attacks in Europe and set up a bogus terror group to claim responsibility for attacks on Jewish schools, synagogues, and companies linked to Israel. Heads up. Heads up about that. Be vigilant. A lot of these guys will be self-actuated. But I think we've been okay now for about, 10 days? 10 days it's been? Nothing that bad. When did that guy run into the synagogue? That's almost 2 weeks ago. Oil prices fell. Brent crude, the global benchmark, dipping to roughly $97 a barrel. Iraq. What happened to Iraq? We never hear about Iraq anymore. What happened to Iraq? We spent all that time worrying about Iraq. Well, we beat. No. I mean, look, it's not like Afghanistan where the Taliban is in charge, right? The bad guys are in charge. They have something of a democracy, and we do speak with them, and they don't export terror, and they're not developing weapons of mass destruction. But they're angry at us. Iraq said it planned to lodge a protest with the U.S. after a strike on a military clinic that Baghdad said killed 7 soldiers. The U.S. military said the incident was being looked into. Israel said it completed waves of airstrikes targeting regime-linked infrastructure in Tehran. They're said to be nervous. They don't want this war to end either, apparently. They'd like it to go on, get their last licks in for a while. Personally, I do want it over, but I don't have all the intelligence. I don't have all the feedback. I don't know if we have sufficiently degraded their missile, their nuclear, and taught them a lesson about exporting terror. It looks like they're still up to exporting terror. So maybe it's time, maybe it's not. Maybe it's time, maybe it's not. Anything else about that? The crash. There is a lot about the crash. The timeline we got from the NTSB yesterday. So let's see. Let's go through it. This is only 45 seconds. Let's see. According to stop the fire. Okay. What you're about to hear is the fire truck getting cleared to land. Not the fire truck, the airplane. This is cut 7, if you don't mind. Cut 7. You got to remember, this is 2 minutes and 17 seconds before these pilots are going to die. 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Cut 7.
646, number 2, clear to land 4.
Number 2, 646.
All right, they're clear to land, and they got 2 minutes and 17 seconds of flying time. Now, this is the thing that I was concerned about, because when they start talking to the fire truck, it's like way, way, way later. Let's see here. The fire truck before the crash. LaGuardia ground control. Sorry, forgive me here. Fire truck 1 asking LaGuardia to cross 4 at Delta. And this is 25 seconds before the crash. 25 seconds before the crash. My sense is, common sense indicates that, no, it's too close. You can't, you can't go on the runway. 25 seconds? That's like trying to beat a train with the tracks, with the gate down. Cut 8, please. Just 25 seconds before that plane is right on top of them. This happens. Cut 8.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower.
Truck 1 and Company.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
And what happens? They get permission. But it's eating up time. Every time you say something, that takes time. Every time you say something back, that just took 5 seconds. So with 20 seconds before this plane is about to be on top of them, this is what the controller says. I mean, that plane is basically almost over the runway. Cut 9.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 Delta.
And they acknowledge that. Actually, here they go. This is only, how many seconds? This is basically 9 seconds before they're hit. Cut 10.
Truck 1 and Company crossing 4 at Delta.
Oh, my God. Now, I want to know, you heard the guy's voice, and let's hear it again. I want to hear this voice of the controller. Cut 8.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower.
Truck 1 and Company.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
And next, please, 9.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 Delta.
All right, now what I want you to do with me, because I don't know the answer to this, earlier he approved, some voice said you're clear to land. Is it the same guy who said clear to cross? It might be. The voice is very similar to me. Cut 7.
646.
646 number 2, clear to land 4.
Number 2, 646.
Okay, that's the same guy, isn't it? Listen carefully, okay? The guy who's talking, that's the pilot. That's the pilot of the Air Canada plane. He's talking very deep and very cool. I'm sure he was very cool, by the way. I'm so sorry about what happened. The guy talking to him, so this is important. The guy who's handling the planes in the air is the same guy who's handling the planes and trucks and vehicles on the ground. That's too much. That's too much for one guy, especially at night, especially when this guy only sleeps probably 5 hours a night. That's way too much. And I think it's the same guy. Forgive me, but I have to hear it one more time. And let's listen carefully, not to the other guy, the guy who clears him to land on runway 4. Cut 7.
646.
646 number 2, clear to land 4.
Number 2, 646.
Okay. And as for the guy, is it the same guy? I think it is. Cut 9.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 Delta.
It's the same guy, right? It could be. I'm pretty sure it is. And by the way, it's like somewhat exculpatory, right? He's got his hands full. He's thinking about it. Doesn't he seem to be thinking about it there? One more time, 9.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 Delta.
That's fascinating to me. I just got to compare it one more time to the guy who actually told, because this is the only transmission I have of a controller talking to that plane while it's in flight. Cut 7.
646.
646 number 2, clear to land 4.
Number 2, 646.
Could you do me a favor, when you can, take 7 with this. I want the second voice. You can't do it now. It's got to be edited. The second voice of 7 with the voice in cut 9, telling him that they can, okay, 7 and 9 butted if you can when you get a chance. Look, the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, they talked about this. This is a real problem. These things doubling up, cutting down on staff. They've known about it forever, and they said out loud that this is a real problem. And this is a real clue that we know what happened here. Cut 13, please. Cut 13. This is the head of the National Transportation Safety Board. Cut 13.
In this situation, for the midnight shift, it is standard operating procedure that they only have 2 on duty, and those 2 perform the duties of other controllers. That is our understanding right now. However, we're going to further dig into that as part of our investigation. Certainly, I can tell you that our air traffic control team has stated this is a problem, that this is a concern for them for years, that they have had this concern for quite a long time. I can understand it's a concern, especially if there's a heavy workload.
Wow. Well, how about that? Oh, we do already? All right. So we're going to hear. And by the way, this is the problem. This is the problem, that they're doing too much. one guy is doing the job of two. Okay, ground and air in a cockpit in the tower in New York. It's the same guy. Thank you, Justin. Go ahead.
646 number 2, clear to line 4. Truck 1 company, cross 4 Delta.
It's the same guy, right? Unquestionably. Okay, and for years, now a couple of things. Thank you. He is fatigued. He is overworked. He's got an emergency situation on his hand. And they've known that this is a problem for decades. Not only the sleep situation, they're going to focus on that, but they're also going to say some other things. Cut 15.
That wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, I know I was here. I tried to reach out to my staff, and we were dealing with an emergency earlier.
No, man, you did the best you could.
Oh, man. I really feel for this guy. All right, now, this is the first voice you're going to hear is from 2011. And it goes all the way up to 2 years ago, including the person who's actually still in the NTSB, talking about chronic fatigue and overworked controllers is a huge problem. But by overworked, we mean not just not enough vacation, not enough days off, overworked, literally overworked, doing the jobs of two people. There's no way an airport like LaGuardia should be, one guy should be handling the air and the ground. Are you crazy? Are you crazy over there? Are they crazy up there at the Air Force? All right, there's the music. 1 second, please. That's a big aha moment for me, though, that it's definitely the same guy. It's the same guy. And he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders right now. He probably feels terrible. Don't just relax, all right? I know you feel bad, but there's a way out of this, okay? All right, be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Baseball is back, and the first pitch is on Netflix. The New York Yankees, led by seven-time All-Star Aaron Judge, head to the San Francisco Bay to take on Rafael Devers' San Francisco Giants. This season kicks off with one exclusive opening night game. Watch MLB Opening Night, the New York Yankees versus the San Francisco Giants, live on Netflix. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
This episode is brought to you by Stouffer's. Here comes three-time juggling champion Natalia Rogers. She's juggling law school, her TA job. Oh, narrowly catches the laundry. What's that fourth ball? Parents unexpectedly showed up at dinner time? Is that too much for Natalia? Not with Stouffer's Chicken Alfredo and its mouth-watering mix of Asiago, Romano, and Parmesan. When you're juggling four things at once and the clock strikes dinner, think Stouffer's.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
So I saw this live in New Orleans, 1992. Axl Rose was wearing a catcher's vest and a kilt, running around like a lunatic. It's the first time I ever got drunk in public, by the way. Yep. In New Orleans, they have something called the Hurricane drink. It is ginormous. It's like a Big Gulp times 2. Remember the Big Gulp? Nobody talks about the Big Gulp anymore. Is that because of Bloomberg? Remember that he tried to make the Big Gulp illegal? Anyway, so what happened was I had like, this tastes fine. My whole thing with alcohol and drinking, like, I don't like the taste. Well, I love the taste of hurricanes. And I had like, I don't know, more than one. And then I found out, ooh. So it started to kick in right about when that song was done. And I stumbled out of the concert area. This was in the King Dome. What do they call it down there? The Saints Dome, the big dome that they had in Katrina. And I stumbled out. I saw a Red Cross flag, and I laid down. I just went in, stumbled in, saw a cot, went down on it. And I woke up. It was light. It was light outside. Nobody was there. The gates, the doors were all locked. I had to walk around. It was crazy. Yeah, it's I should have known then. See, I didn't start drinking until I was basically in my 40s. I didn't know how to drink. You know what I mean? Somebody who drank in high school or college would know that stuff. I was experimenting, at 20 and 30. By the way, I don't think I had a drink for 3 years after that. It screwed me up so much. And then you drink again and something else happens weird, and then again and something else happens weird. And then I kind of developed a bit of a tolerance and a bit of like, okay, this is what you drink. This is how you drink. This is when you drink. And then I started to really like drinking. At least I thought I did. And then all of a sudden, oops, you got a problem on your hands. I was always like, well, I never drank as a kid. Obviously, I don't have a problem. I never started in high school. High school, people drank, and they did weed. I wonder how much weed they're doing now. It's legal, right? At least back then, they had the decency, those punk kids, right, to hide. I remember the one time I almost smoked pot in high school, and I didn't actually. Like Bill Clinton, truly, I did not inhale. I put it to my lips. I pretended. I did not want to do it. It was in a baseball field dugout, right? That's where we did it. Now you could do it, at dinner time. You can do it anywhere you want. You can do it in class practically. Then I did it in college, and I showed up stoned for a lecture. I remember that very, very well. And it wasn't unpleasant, but it was weird and dizzying, and I didn't want to do it right away. And then, I don't know how many years later, I did it again. Nauseous, hallucinations. And I did it right on the eve of my formal hiring from New York One News. And guess what? I get the letter in the mail saying, okay, you're hired. And within 24 hours of the receipt of this letter, you will submit to a drug test at one of the following locations. I'm not kidding. I took like 4 big giant hits of weed mixed with hashish, and opium. I mean, this was big stuff. And I did it because I was stupid. Somebody offered it, and I did it. I was invited to go to a pay-per-view to watch the Mike Tyson fight. This is sometime in 2001. Did Tyson fight in 2001? I might have the boxer mixed up. But I got good and high, and then I didn't feel like I had to go lie down. I wasn't even there for the party. I had to lie down, and then I woke up finally, kind of like in New Orleans, went back to where I lived, and then waiting for me was a FedEx congratulating me on my offer, my formal written offer, picking up on our verbal offer to you to work at New York One News. Within 24 hours of this letter, you will submit to a drug test. I had not touched drugs since 1988. It's 2001. 13 years have gone by. And I got to go take a drug test the moment after I did drugs. Is that crazy or what? Is that God not saying, you just stepped out of line? You are in trouble. I should have actually seen it more like that. Anyway, I called a doctor friend of mine, and I told him exactly what happened, and he said, well, you're probably okay because you're not a habitual user, right? You don't, if you do it every day, then it's in your system. If you did it once, it's probably not in your system. And he didn't have much more guidance than that. I think I ran 20 miles a day for the next 3 days, literally. Yeah, it was an insane number of miles. Drank a gas tank full of water. And then I also got my own, because I really wanted to go work in New York One, the big city. This is in Binghamton, New York. Binghamton. I loved it up there. I learned a lot, but I didn't want to stay in Binghamton. I mean, forgive me. They paid me like minimum wage to be the anchor man. My co-anchor was one of the students from the college. I had to get out of there. And so it was like, anyway, I got my own private drug test, which is a little bit odd, but you can do that. Test me for all these drugs. And it came up negative, but diluted because I had so much water. I'm like, oh, that's fine with me. So I got the real one, passed. And I didn't do it right away, and I turned out the letter was a little bit more ominous than it, in reality. You could do it, sometime before you show up at New York One, or even after you show up at New York One, and you got to get a drug test. You never know what's going to happen in life. You never know. You guys remember Colonel Vindman? He reminds me a lot of Warrant Officer Kent, Joe Kent. I'm not finished with this punk. I am not finished. And apparently, I am the only one, and I do it with pride. Because most people hear, oh, he's this, he's that. We have to shut up. Have you heard about my tweet? At Greg Kelly USA, if you want to see what all the fun is about. This is what I say about Joe Kent. Wow! All the amateurs and roided up podcast bros are still really buying con man Joe Kent's crap, especially about being deployed 11 times to war. They say, shut up! He's a Green Beret. Well, that may fool and impress you, but I've been watching for the past 25 years various fighting men and women lying their asses off about the progress being made in Iraq and Afghanistan. The military said we were winning in Afghanistan right up until the moment we lost. The dishonesty is especially obvious in Mr. Kent. Now, just to remind everybody, he goes around nonstop saying how many times he's gone to war. Sounds a little bit like this. Cut 22, please. Cut 22.
As somebody who fought myself 11 combat deployments, I spent most of my 20s and 30s in Iraq. Throughout 11 combat deployments, I saw the failures of the government establishment. I had the honor of serving our country for a little over 20 years as a Green Beret, went to combat 11 times.
11 times, 11 times, 11 times. We got a clip that goes on for hours like that. 11 times. And I knew something was up. Again, that may fool and impress some people, but not me. Because the dishonesty is especially obvious in Mr. Kent. I've deployed 11 times. He also says he knows what it's like to hunt and kill humans. He's got a chapter in his book, Hunting Humans. You can be a gung-ho military man. You should never look at it like that. You should never animalize your opponent, actually. Oh, you just don't sound hardcore. No, I was a professional fighting man. Professional, right? There are standards. There's decency. It's not just get blood and guts. Believe it or not, there's some thought and even some sympathy from time to time while you are inflicting grievous harm on your enemy. Yes, it all goes together. Gullible and insecure civilians say things like this. 11 times? Wow, and he killed people? Oh boy, that's tough. We must listen to him, and he must know what to do. We must honor his service. Actually, no, we don't. We don't have to honor his service. Not for him, at least. And plenty of others who have, too many vets have been corrupted by politics. And they weaponized their stint like he did. He weaponized his military stint. This is a trick that has damn near been perfected by both libs and conservatives. You find some chump with military or maybe law enforcement credentials to push your political agenda, and right off the bat, what does it do? It neutralizes a big chunk of your opposition because there is a reluctance in taking on a veteran, even one who is being wildly and weirdly traitorous and political like Joe Kent. Joe, I deployed 11 times, Kent. 11 times. That number itself, the number is artificially high, okay? Because he's counting any time he ever got on a plane for a business trip or what's called a micro deployment. It's in his book. Little clues are in his book. It's a silly self-promotional mess. I told you yesterday it's like ghostwritten by an 8th grader. Joe is awfully vague about when he leaves and when he gets back from combat. For instance, at one point he says he deployed in the spring and was back in June. Now, what does that mean? He's vague. He doesn't tell us when in the spring, because the spring goes all the way up to June. Did he leave in May? Did he leave in April? Did he leave on the first day of spring, March 20th? Was it a 3-month deployment? Was it 3 weeks? Was it 2 weeks? Kent constantly bragging that we just heard there, that's another tell, in my opinion, that he's a bad guy, because the implication is that his service is somehow superior to others who served. Because what about the guy who did just one deployment, According to Joe Kent, that guy must be a wussy, right? Or according to the podcasters and all of the naive bros out there who are looking for a post-Trump world, looking forward to that, they secretly hate him. They want to distance themselves from him and opposing all war. Opposing all war is as dumb as supporting all war, right? Being a dove is almost as stupid as being a hawk. You got to be a little bit of both. Because there were thousands of guys who had to stay for a year. This is Robert Gates, the Secretary of Defense, in April of 2007. And it rocked the world of the military that people were going to now stay in Iraq and Afghanistan for a year. It used to be 6 months and you're out. 1 year? That's a lot of time, and it can do really weird stuff to your brain. Secretary of Defense Gates, April 2007. All units. All units. So what if you go for one deployment, right? A year. Or 2 deployments, 2 years. And Joe Kent is running around saying he went 11 times. 11 business trips, round trips. Joe Kent is special because he made more round trips. Biden and a lot of media pull this crap all the time. Joe has said, I've been to Iraq 38 times, which means he spent about 10 hours on the ground in the green zone. Pete Buttigieg, too. On and on and on. Politicians, they're trying to exploit and fool insecure voters and podcasters and media, by the way. I love this part. During those 11 deployments, Kent was quite the ladies' man in Baghdad. He would ogle women at the green zone pool. He would strut around in his panties. I still can't get over this. He calls underwear panties. Panties. People are like, oh, yeah, that's an Army thing. Well, you guys should have changed it. You guys should have come up with another. I'd rather not wear those than wear them, if that's what you call them, whatever they are. Panties, his word, not mine. And he would basically loaf and drink. I know this because it's in his book, his ridiculous book, Send Me, The True Story of a Mother at War. He also tells the story of the wife quite a bit here in the book and the rest. And I do think that that is awful. And I really wish that she were home, still with Joe, raising those kids. But I'm not going to let that work on me either. Joe Biden pulled that you-know-what. Joe Biden. How many times did he talk about the death of Bo and his wife and and that accident in 1972? I mean, he was laying a guilt trip on people. I wasn't driving that truck. I didn't hit the guy. By the way, the guy who was driving the truck was a good guy. Good guy driving the truck. She made an illegal turn. And Joe went around saying that the truck driver who slammed into his wife and kids, Hunter was in the car, was drunk. And he wasn't. It's a lie. But it makes the story sound even better somehow. More political mileage. If your spouse was killed by a drunk driver as opposed to, I don't know. All right, back to these quotes in the book. He talks about where he was staying. And there was a marble swimming pool with bearded operators grilling, i.e. barbecuing, out nearby, and nothing more than a pair of Ranger panties and a healthy dose of sunscreen. War is hell, I thought. Days were spent sleeping and lounging by the pool. Man, hell sounds pretty tame. Everyone was on a first-name basis, and even the most serious matters could be discussed in board shorts by the pool. I still can't get over all of his terms for shorts. Ranger panties, board shorts. I have underwear and shorts and long pants and socks. Ranger panties, board shorts. Joe liked the people who lived and worked there at the Green Zone, and he enjoyed more than a few drinks at the bar there over the years. But the culture was a little bit too laid back for his taste in 2007. You think? In 2007, guys are going off to war, real war, for a year. He felt that America had been there too long with too little success to enjoy drinks by a pool. You think? The mystique wore off, and he was annoyed by his buddies who spent too many nights at the Ville, Green Zone, chatting up the intel women. Oh, this is a classic, by the way. This is a classic. Oh, honey, I wasn't doing it. They were doing it. All of my buddies were doing it. I try to talk him out of it. Be right back. I got to take a break.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, we are back. We're turning something around. Very brief, but temporary. Very brief, temporary, momentary. Nice thing I want to say about Mayor Mamdani. I mean, this is it, all right? This is the one thing I've ever seen that I liked. It was a moment in the debate, one of the debates, and he's asked a preposterous question. Preposterous, all right? And, of course, Curtis Sliwa takes the bait, right? But let's hear this. Go ahead.
Every parade has the right to exist in New York City.
Okay, gentlemen, New York City loves its parades, and the mayor is often front and center. You have all said that you want to be mayor for all New Yorkers. So will you march in all the parades that mayors have traditionally marched in, or are there any that you would boycott? Mr. Sliwa?
I think a mayor has a responsibility, whenever possible, to march in parades, to celebrate whatever that parade is performing as. I've been a Grand Marshal of the Pulaski Day Parade. I was proud to celebrate my Polish heritage. Are there
any that you would boycott, though? I just need to move this along.
Excuse me?
Would you boycott any of the city's parades?
No, I would not boycott any parades.
Mr.
It's the mayor's
Cuomo,
responsibility to be available to all racial, ethnic, and religious groups.
No, I wouldn't unless they discriminated.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani?
There are many parades that I would not be attending because I'd be focusing on the work of leading this city.
Which parades would you not be going to?
I've already missed a number of those parades because I've been trying to speak to as many New Yorkers as possible.
Okay.
I don't have the list of all the parades I've missed.
Wow, that's a lot. The mayor should be going to all parades.
Let me ask you this. Are there any parades that don't exist that you think should? Mr. Mamdani?
I haven't thought much about parades, to be honest with you.
Mr. Cuomo?
I have not thought.
I don't stop. See, look, I don't like the guy. I really can't stand his policies, but that answer was classic. Parades, right? The farce of politics, these silly political reporters. They're trying to get you in trouble with this group or that group, right? Oh, gosh, yeah. It's a trick. And kind of like Trump, he blew it all up. He exposed the game. I haven't really thought much about parades. What was the question? Are there any parades that don't exist that should? I really haven't thought much about parades. Like most people. Maybe you think about the one parade for your community. You don't sit around talking about parades. All right. Good luck to him. Wait, where was I? Do I have to do more of that thingamajig? I think I do. We already kind of took care of it. You know what I'm talking about with the Joe Kent matter. Just one other little thing. Joe Kent thinks it's important that the intelligence community says stuff. And you can make that case. Right? You got to have intelligence. But it's almost as if they're somehow more important than anyone else. More important than the president. Cut 20, please. Cut 20.
President Trump and the former supreme leader of Iran agreed that Iran was not going to get a nuclear weapon. They were going to get
and you believed them.
Table.
You believe
them? I believe the 18 members of the intelligence community. Mark, I believe the 18 intelligence agencies that said that Iran was not developing a nuclear weapon.
But guess what? The president agrees with his own conclusions. The CIA director that says you're full of baloney.
The ODNI, who's responsible for representing the 18 intelligence community, 18
but
agencies.
Yeah, 18. Kept on saying 18 intelligence agencies, 18 intelligence agencies, 18 intelligence agencies. I heard it before Iraq. It was 20 agencies, 20 agencies, 20 agencies, 20 agencies, 20 agencies. We got rid of 2. And Colin Powell and George W. Bush, the intelligence. The intelligence is wrong. Cut 21.
Every statement I make today is backed up by sources, solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
Our intelligence sources tell us that he has attempted to purchase high-strength aluminum tubes suitable for nuclear weapons production.
Before the war, not only the U.S. administration and U.S. intelligence, but the French, British, Germans, the UN, all thought Saddam had weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah. So they did. Now, why? Sometimes the political leadership wants something, and then the intelligence community, the IC, delivers it to him. You know, when he says 18 intelligence agencies, that's also suspect. They kind of they function as a blob, one big dopey sloppy blob. You think the Coast Guard is going to come out with its own assessment on Iraqi nuclear, or Marine Corps intelligence, or Air Force intelligence? Right? We have the Defense Intelligence Agency. Quite frankly, there are too many agencies. It's unwieldy. It's weird, and just coordinating and getting them all on the same page, and they're not going to be on the same page. That's why you have the DNI, and then the DNI is pulled in 5,000 different directions. That's why you need a president as strong as Trump. Unfortunately, there are going to be some rats like Joe Kent in the mix. Very little you can do about it. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?